From SBI's Executive Briefing Center in Dallas, Texas, the most watched and listened to content in B2B sales and marketing, it's the SBI Podcast with your host, Matt Shares.
Welcome to SBI TV, a weekly show dedicated to helping you make your number. Today we're going to explore how to transform your company from a provider of one or more products into a platform player that implements a very sticky solution, has a high exit barrier, and strong customer loyalty. I'm your host, Matt Shares. I'm the CEO of SBI. Joining me in the studio today is Sudhakar Ramakrishna. Sudhakar is the CEO for Pulse Secure. And if you think about Pulse Secure, they deliver access solutions for people, devices, things, and services. They serve enterprise and service providers of all sizes, and they enhance their productivity, visibility, and compliance via industry-leading network, application, mobile, and cloud access solutions. So Sudhakar, first off, great to see you.
Thank you.
Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
And based on my description of what you do and the fact that I ran that drill 5 times, now I want you to translate all those big words that a guy like me doesn't understand. I'd love to hear a little bit more about your background, but talk a little bit about what Pulse does and how the audience should think about Pulse Secure.
Sure. Matt, the simplest way I can describe it is for all of us to be productive, we use some form of a device, whether it's a laptop or a phone, etc. On those devices, there are applications, let's say like Outlook, that need to access a backend infrastructure. It could be a server, it could be another application, etc. So what Pulse really does is to help you become more productive. We enable you to use any device at any location to access your backend. It could be a data center, it could be something in the cloud, it could be an application in the simplest possible manner and in the most secure manner possible. So intersection of simplicity and security to enhance productivity, visibility, and compliance is what we do. And we've been doing that for more than 20,000 customers at a time.
And Sudhakar, for those who aren't familiar with Pulse, maybe tell the story of Pulse and where it was a few years ago when you and I met and the journey it's been on, because it's really fascinating.
Pulse, I would describe it as a young, mature company in the sense that our technology, our base technology has been around for 15 years, never stagnant, constantly improving and innovating. But as an independent company, we have been an independent company for a little over 4.5 years now. We were part of a Juniper division that was spun out. And since then, we have been on a very fast path of expanding our addressable market. In fact, we expanded it from 700 million to 4 billion and growing at about 17 to 20% right now. An employee base that was barely 200 in a single function, which was R&D, to more than 650 people across all functions worldwide.
That's incredible.
Organic presence in 21 countries and continue to expand and have built a portfolio that is not only addressing the needs of our customers today, but it's very relevant into the future.
And then, Sudhakar, tell us a little bit about your background, because I think you've had a fascinating run to the CEO chair.
Yeah, I've had a very interesting background, but I'll also say I've had a very lucky background in many ways. Just prior to joining Pulse, I was leading the enterprise and service provider division at Citrix. I came up over the years through the product ranks. I've done networking technology, cloud, security, mobility, etc. across various industries, very large companies, very small companies. So the reason I say lucky is because I've had the good fortune of tasting all the way up and down the stack, so to speak, in sizes of companies, types of companies, etc. But the most important thing that I've been able to gain, I would say, through my experiences, from the very first day in my career, I've had the good fortune of working with customers. So the empathy for an engineer as it relates to a customer was essentially ingrained in me right from the get-go. I think that has been the biggest differentiator, so to speak, at a personal level.
Very good. Well, it's great to have you here. I know we've got a great show planned.
Thank you.
So for those of you that are watching or listening, if you don't want to miss our weekly show, all you have to do to access our content library, if you're an iPhone user, just download the SBI app via the Apple App Store. You search for Sales Benchmark Index. You can use your iPhone notifications to bring your content to you on your commute, on your travel, or during your workout. So, as all of you who are watching and listening can tell, this is not Sudhakar's first time doing this, and he's got a level of depth. So, how would I translate this if I was a sales leader or a marketing leader? You have a CEO who is so commercially oriented. If you're in a technology company and you're going from product to platform, if that doesn't work, it doesn't matter how great your sales force is, it doesn't matter how great your comp plan is and your lead gen, your product is not good and you won't make your number. So if you sort of think about this orientation as you are sitting there watching and listening, say, what do I do with this? I would take it back to my CEO and I would say, how are we thinking about the platform, our platform, number one? Number two, if this is the path we're going down, there's an element of a deliberate focus that Sudhakar has taken with the team, both inside product, but how he's educated customers, the sales force and marketing, so everybody's coming along the journey. So in this last segment, we're going to talk about packaging. So now we got to go out and get something done and commercialize this. So as you know, and Sudhakar, as you know, right, we work with B2B companies across a wide array of industries, right? Many of them are working on this platformization, right? I love that term. And then changing the value prop so that they can actually take it and monetize it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about packaging and how you did that with the team in this final segment.
Yeah, that's obviously a great and relevant question for all our customers as well as the vendors. About 2 years ago, when we felt we had a broad enough portfolio, going back in history, we started with a single product, but 2 years ago, we felt we had a broad enough product. We said we would now need to package it consistent with what the company was doing, which was the one thing that I described, which is secure access.
Yeah.
So we launched what we call the secure access suites, which itself is not very exciting in the sense, or innovative in the sense that many companies have a good, better, best model as an example, right? So we launched our own secure access suites. However, each of the suite editions had a very specific purpose. So if a customer cares about, let's say, connectivity to the cloud, there is one suite. If you care about connectivity and mobility, there's a suite. So it's still very focused on what the customer's needs are. Then we trained our sales teams and marketing teams and partners, importantly, on how to position each of those suites. From a commercial uplift standpoint, the suites could uplift a single point product sale by at least up to 70%, I should say. Okay, so in essence, your sales velocity increases as you explain a higher value proposition to the customer.
Yeah.
Since then, in less than 2 years, 40% of all of our sales now can be attributed to suites. Meaning, whereas you were selling a single license or a product 2 years ago, now you're selling a full suite. 40%. That's how we've actually been able to grow our bookings.
Say, which is attributed to above market rate bookings growth.
Exactly.
Right? Which makes every sales leader and salesperson and you very, very happy.
Exactly. Yeah. So what has happened as a result of transforming to suites is the normal course of action of just throwing more salespeople at the problem, etc., to drive sales does not necessarily have to be the case. Of course, each of the suites have to have a value and has to have stickiness, etc. And then through that process, we also evolved the business models to give customers more choices. Hey, you want to buy perpetual licenses? Go for it. But if you want to now shift to subscription and consumption-based, that's your vehicle to do it.
So you were able to create almost bespoke platforms.
Exactly.
Through multiple, whether perpetual subscription or usage, and whether application, I mean, you literally have a mix and match.
So the interesting thing is, from a customer standpoint, it'll seem bespoke.
Yeah.
But from an internal standpoint, it's very consistent. Otherwise, we are just creating...
Exactly. But I love it because from a marketplace standpoint, as long as I feel like I have choice, people really don't care how the sausage gets made. They just want to feel like it's custom.
Exactly. And from a leverage standpoint, we have to make the sausage in the simplest, most consistent manner possible.
Absolutely.
So now today, consequently, customers are able to consume our products and deliver them and deploy them in the cloud. On all forms of virtual systems, as well as continue to do the physical appliance form factors. They're able to buy perpetual, consumption, and subscription-based solutions, which cannot be possible, in my opinion, economically without taking a very strong platform approach.
Yep.
It's a journey. I mean, we haven't solved the full problem yet ourselves.
No, I got you.
But we are well on our way.
So then my last question on this segment, and then we'll wrap the show. Talk to me about pricing to accelerate internal adoption, to sort of put it in the hands of the sellers to say, here's how you think about whether it's value-based pricing, like use case-based, like how did you think through that last piece?
Our pricing philosophy, I would say, is entirely value-based pricing.
Okay.
However, as we have built the various suites and packaged them differently, there is always a benefit to the customer for buying the suites. I mean, in terms of not only the simplicity, but also the cost, if they were to break it down into the various components, will be lower. So that was something that we felt was important to drive adoption. But it is not so much down that it's watered down the value that we have built in the solutions.
Wonderful. Well, Sudhakar, I can't thank you enough for coming by. That was incredibly educational and inspiring.
Thank you.
As many try to make this move, but they're not really sure how, you took something that is big and complex, and you broke it down and you made it easy to understand. Not easy to do, but easy to understand. So I really appreciate the contribution.
We are super excited about what's going on at Pulse, but thankful to our customers, partners, and all our vendor community out there.
Well, the great thing about what Sudhakar and the team have been able to do is being private equity owned. You think about value creation, and as a CEO, that's your job. You've been able to create a tremendous amount of enterprise value, which is great for everybody along the way. So congratulations, and thanks for coming on.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right, everybody. As always, I want to thank you, our audience, for tuning in. You always have a choice on where you put your eyes and ears, and I appreciate that you would spend some time with us today. So that's it for today. And as always, I wish you good luck as you try and make your number.
This has been the SBI Podcast. For more information on the studio, SBI's Executive Briefing Center, our team, or to schedule a workshop, please visit salesbenchmarkindex.com.